So this week, what's been really top of mind for myself and others is speaking up. Speaking up. So I noticed for myself, I've had a pattern of, maybe there's something that I wanted to address in a conversation or in a relationship or a business arrangement, and I'm like, there's something in the back of my mind that I'm like, I wish we would just put this on the table. Maybe it was bad news. Maybe it was parts that I didn't really like about it. Maybe it was something that I was afraid that they didn't might not like about it. And so this pattern is kind of like withholding. And essentially, what I do is there's kind of be like this voice in my mind that'd be like, well, let's just bring it up at the end of the call or the end of the conversation. Or let's bring it up next call or next time we meet up. And so what's really top of mind for me and now is flipping the script on that and just putting it all on the table sooner rather than later, and actually as soon as possible. And there's a megaphone right there because that's how it feels like to me. I'm like, I just got to shout it out there. But really, it doesn't have to be. Like I have a longtime mentor, Joseph Severson, who uh, first shared with me that he said there's always a kind way to tell the truth. There's always a kind way to tell the truth, to speak the truth. And so that's what I really have in my mind of like, okay, what's in the back of my mind that is unsaid that needs to be said? And I'm a very empathic person. So maybe it's news that people don't want to hear, and I can feel how it makes them uncomfortable. Like I feel it, like if it's in my own body. So what I noticed is that I was holding back on saying things that maybe people didn't like to hear, or there would be some resistance on it because I'm like, I don't want to feel what they feel. And sometimes I feel it more like than they feel. So but what then happens, and what's happened to me, is then it wastes time. Number one, of because if we don't confront the things and put them on the table right away, then we could, be going in a different direction that needs to be course corrected right away. So something I'd like to hear from you in the chat is what is there anything in your life right now where it could benefit from you speaking up? Meaning that you're kind of holding on to something that you haven't really addressed with somebody or put on the table, or there's something in the back of your mind, and this could be in your work, with your team, with your friends, with your family, romantic relationship. Let me know in the comments if there's a topic right now or a situation where you can speak up, use your voice in a kind way, and address certain things on the table. Put them on the table. Okay. Okay, so let me know in the chat what comes up for you, or if there's any questions that come up on this. Because ultimately, the more upfront we can be with our communication, then people know where we're at. And more upfront with what we're looking for in certain situations, maybe the concerns we have in a certain situation, uh, potential things that are weighing us down. All of those things, the sooner we get them up front on the table, then the sooner that we can blast off together. And that happy hero analogy, it's like if those things are weighing us down and we're not being said, we're not going to be able to be as effective. So with this focus each week of focus and flow, that helps us focus on the things that matter by putting things on the table and then flow with them because we're letting go of the baggage that's in the back of our mind, and it's a a bit insidious because it feels like, oh, it's just a little thing in the back of my mind. Maybe it's this part of the deal that I don't like, or maybe this certain piece of what's been happening doesn't resonate with me. And it's in the back of our mind, but it's weighing down our subconscious. It's taking resources from our subconscious. And, with that quote from Dr. Bruce Lipton, there's a lot of processing power that weighs us down when you don't even know it. It's like a computer having a bunch of tabs open on the internet browser or a bunch of windows. And it's just dragging things down in the background. Okay? So Christy shared that you feel like you've been speaking up for yourself lately, which is great, but you do feel like you can be kinder in some of the conversations. Yeah, because that creates new baggage. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely resonate because it's like, hey, step one, it's like speaking it out. That's great, number one. And I know for myself, I've had times where it comes out harsh, or like, ooh, I mean, at least I got it out, but I can work on smoothing the transmission of it. And so, yeah, that's a great thing, and always bringing it back to what Joseph Severson told me once upon a time. There's always a kind way to speak the truth. There's always a kind way to speak the truth. And then what happens is as we do this more and more, then a new level of trust people form with us, because then they start to know that, like, okay, this person's always putting things on the table, and they're being as kind as they can with it, and I always know where they're at. So there's when we always know where someone's at, we relax a little bit, or a lot of it, and because we might not like where they're at, but we know where they're at. There's not like smoke and mirrors or things being held in the background. So today's clearing for our group flow state experience, we're going to do a subconscious clearing on things that prevent us from speaking up and sharing our message, and also things that prevent us from being smooth with our message. And in all the emotions that come up with that, fear can come up. That fear of what if I'm talking with this person, maybe there's a deal, maybe there's a friendship, maybe there's whatever, maybe I share the thing and then it explodes. The fears like that. Maybe it's a fear of, hey, I'm getting it out, but what if I burn them in the process? What if it comes out like in flames? It's another fear. Also, there can be interesting things linked to this, such as like, grief or shame or guilt, or blocks on self-worth. Like maybe you'd be able to speak up for a friend who is in a similar situation, but when it comes up for yourself, maybe you don't for yourself. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the clearing on this week, so that moving forward, it's easier and easier to speak what needs to be said, be upfront with everything, so that things are more efficient moving on and on, so that you don't waste your own time, you don't waste the time of others, and you're freed from the mental baggage, the bandwidth in your subconscious that's being dragged down when we hold on to these things that really need to be said.